Welcome to Intimacy Evolution, the podcast that helps you enjoy deeper connection and more intimacy in your relationships. I'm Brianna Carey, relationship and intimacy coach, and together with my husband Mark, a licensed professional counselor, we're here to help couples create the relationships they crave. Relationships evolve over time, and that's okay. Let's talk about it. Welcome today, Ann, with Empowered Journey.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
We would love to just dig in. Let's get started. Tell us who you are and about what you and your husband are doing.
Yeah, so we founded Empowered Journey, but it was actually an accidental business. We have developed tools that we use in our family, and we developed these tools about over a decade ago because we realized that we were headed down a really dangerous path where we were prioritizing work over everything else. We were working in the family business and it's retail, so we worked 363 days a year. We only had Thanksgiving and Christmas off, working really long hours and pretty much putting personal life on the back burner. And we realized that if we kept this up, it was not sustainable for our relationship. And we just got stuck. We knew we wanted something better, but we didn't know what that was. We didn't really have a ton of great marriage mentors, people that were married like 30, 40, 50 years that were madly in love, like the Hallmark, what you see, like old couples dancing. Like we didn't have that in our life. We didn't have real life examples of that. We knew a lot of people that were married a long time that were like roommates, and we knew divorced. And we knew that we didn't want that. So we turned to what we knew, which is how do you build a great business? How do you build a great team? How do you build a healthy organization? We started applying those ideas to our family and very quickly noticed very significant transformation in our relationship, not just each other, but even with, our inner circle, our friends, our family.
Yeah.
And so we did that for about a decade. And ultimately people in our inner circle were asking us what we were doing, and then eventually became a business. And so that's what we're doing now, is just helping people get really clear about their family's values and vision and purpose and legacy. And then once you do that dreaming together, how do you actually execute on that every single week so that you're making progress, you're rowing in the same direction with your partner, with your spouse, and really making progress towards a life that you want to live? Because I think most people create this identity of like work really hard, make a lot of money, and then we'll be happy, right?
Yeah.
And what we have found is that success in the workplace does not translate to success in the personal life. You have to be as intentional about your personal life as you are about your work life.
Ooh, that's so
Yes.
good. Yeah, I was just reflecting on that. There's so many clients that we have and that are really good at work or really good here, and then the home life or their relationship specifically is kind of forgotten in ways. So
Well, and like you said, we're not taught, we don't have those examples of that, how to do longevity in a healthy way. Okay, yes, you've been married for 40 years, but like you said, if you're roommates and you're not happy, then what was the point of all of it? And so, yeah, it's like your identity then becomes like the work. And I love what you're talking about. Like it came out of necessity for us because we wanted to be happy and figure out a new way. That's very similar to like how we created the business we have as well. And yeah, I want to just really dig in more. So helping families, couples to be more intentional about their family life, just like they are with their business. Can you share more there?
Yeah. So what we realized along the way is that people get really excited about coming in and talking about family legacy and effort at the individual level. And so with our clients, we make it a prereq before they can ever join the year-long program to do the family work. They have to do the individual work. And we walk individuals through that, in a one-day workshop called Know Thyself. But that is really one day for them to get clear on who they are, what is important to them, what they really want out of life, what it looks like when they show up as their best self, and what it looks like when they don't show up as their best self, right? Really understanding the nuances of you as an individual, getting that clarity so that you can advocate for yourself and so that your spouse can advocate for you. And then that work is really foundational to coming together with your partner, with your spouse, to do the family work. Because what we have found is If you do that individual work first and you come together with your spouse, then the family work is so much richer, clearer, more accurate, if you will. Two people coming together to do the family work without having first done the individual work, somebody is bringing a diluted version of themselves to the table. They are making themselves small, often out of sacrifice, out of selflessness, out of love, because they think that is what their family needs, right? Like, I'm going to set aside these passions, these hobbies because of the season that my family is in right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What that is ultimately doing, it feels noble, it sounds noble, but what it's actually doing is it is it's starving the family of the unique gifts that that individual is able to bring. And so doing the individual work really helps unlock a
Mm.
lot of that individual clarity so they can come together and do the family work with so much more ease. And really, it's more fun when you are able to advocate for yourself and you know what it is that you want and you can really fight for what you want in a healthy way.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you just inadvertently highlighted one of the reasons that couples therapy is so ineffective. Is people come in, they want to work on their relationship, but they have not cleared anything with themselves. They've not done any personal work, and then it's just kind of messy and it doesn't work. And so when you're talking about that, I'm like, yeah, we've just fallen into that where we're doing personal work and work together. And there was something you said that really interests me because I think we do a great job of the ultimate vision together and we do some stuff personally, but I think for us there's a big gap. At least that's how I feel. You might feel differently, but I feel like there's a lot of steps in between.
Mm.
Yeah.
You talk about the vision of the family. So how do people go from that one day to the ultimate end all be all legacy? Like what's in between?
Yeah. So they're doing their individual, then they come together. And part of doing that individual work is not just the workshop with us, but at the end of the day, the first part of homework is now go and share this work with your spouse.
Hmm.
You just bared your soul and you have it documented on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
You'll go share it with your spouse so that they can understand what is really important to you. Because without that understanding, it often surfaces as resentment from the other spouse, right? Like if I have a hobby and my spouse, my husband doesn't understand the true reason this is important to me, he might be resentful when I go spend 2 hours every week to go do this hobby. I had this exact same experience. My husband's a mountain biker. Every Monday afternoon, he would go mountain biking and he would come home late, sometimes miss dinner, off the grid sometimes because, like on the trails. And I used to get so resentful. He was gone, taking time away from the family. But when he showed me his individual roadmap, that's the document that we help people develop. When he showed me his individual roadmap and how I saw mountain biking or hints of mountain biking show up in multiple parts of the roadmap, then I really start to understand like this is part of his hardwiring. This is part of his needs. This is part of what feeds his soul. Now when he goes to do it, there's so much more grace and understanding and support, quite frankly, whereas before it was resistance on my end.
Mhm.
So the first piece is sharing with your spouse and then coming together at that first workshop with us. Couples are starting to dive into family values and doing some of that dreaming together. What we found, what's really interesting is we used to block out a ton of time in our program to do the legacy piece. But we found that as the couples are working through their family values and their family vision, the legacy piece now we do at the very end of the year-long program, and most couples are able to get to it very quickly because they've done all of the foundational work, right? Like they have the pieces in place that make the legacy piece. It's like, oh, it's already on our family roadmap. There's hints to it here, and that clarity that they've gained over the year. We used to block 2 or 3 hours for them to do that brainstorming around legacy, and now most couples are able to get to it in like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
that makes so much sense, and I feel that. it feels almost like we're working backwards if we're going to legacy first. And then, like, what are all the building blocks to make that happen? And sometimes that happens in business too. We know how we want to help people, but it's just like, then we have to go back to the beginning and like, what are the building blocks to get there? And so it's fun and fascinating to hear you talk about, what works best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to circle back to the part where you talked about before having these conversations, before doing the individual work, how they're showing up as a diluted version of themselves. And that
Mhm.
just makes me so sad. But we see that as
Mm-hmm.
well with friends or couples that we work with. And it's like, they think that they're doing, like you said, a good thing
Yeah.
by self-sacrificing, but you're not doing this is your life too. Live your life. And then also what a great example you are to your children to show that you get to continue living alongside having a family, and they get to do that too when they get older. And I know that what you said with your husband mountain biking, also a mountain biker, so relate to that. I know a lot of fishing, golfing, like pickleball, whatever. I know that can be a challenge in a lot of relationships, and the resentment piece really comes in and can cause a lot of challenges if they're not communicating about that. There's another piece, and you're getting to that about the legacy, is like when you start to have a family and you talk about your dreams and like what you want for your family, but that's not a continued conversation as you go through marriage or once you start having babies, right? But how do you help couples keep it at the forefront and like
Yeah.
really dig into that dream?
Yeah. So one reason why we developed this program as a year-long program is because a big piece of this is really about developing the habits and
Mhm.
instilling the processes into your family that will make this sustainable. Because I love a good retreat. My husband and I will do retreats all the time, but it's hard to create sustainable habits from a weekend retreat, right? And so we are working with our couples throughout the entire year. And in that first workshop, we're teaching them some habits. One of the most important ones is having a weekly meeting with your spouse.
Yeah.
We like to say, you are the family leaders. You are the leadership team for your family. Just like at work, imagine running a business having no leadership team. Everybody would just be like chickens running around with their heads cut off, right? That's what's happening in your family. If you're not meeting with your spouse, if you're not treating your spouse like the two of you guys are a leadership team for your family, there's probably, I would guess, there's probably some chaos, some frantic days, some missed communication that is causing frustration. So one of the foundational tools is having, we call it your family alignment meeting, your FAMs. And every single week, you and your spouse are meeting as the leaders for your family and working through issues, but also making sure that you're aligned on priorities for the week moving forward. And how do we make sure that we're moving in the direction that we said we want to be moving in to create this life? What's really interesting about those FAMs is we teach it in workshop 1.
Mhm.
We review it in workshop 2. We review it again in workshop 3. We review it again in workshop 4, because it really does take that long to rewire our brains, rewire our habits, really make it a sustainable practice that couples rely on and are really implementing into their family. Because it's kind of like learning how to walk. You try it and you're stumbling,
Mm.
come back. And so we revisit it every workshop because it is so important. But that is one of the most important pieces to really keeping your priorities, your goals, your family vision top of mind, is every week you're looking at it together as a leadership team. Are we aligned? Are we moving in the right direction?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's so good.
Yeah.
I love that. And I just think this is so important for couples to have that mindset of like, you are the leaders of your family, because I think we kind of can come into it very passively. It's like, okay, we're parents and we're just flailing around trying to figure out what we're doing because we don't have a manual. And what we see a lot is families that start prioritizing their children over themselves and their relationship. And then the resentment and the disconnect starts to happen. And so, do you talk about that in these meetings, the workshops? So, for us, we started prioritizing like, we don't put our kids in multiple activities where we're going separate places because it's about us being a family and supporting one another. And so we want our kids to have these experiences, but we don't want it to stress us out either. So how do you navigate that where, the kids' activities are really important.
Yeah.
But maybe they're doing too much.
Yeah. Well, we personally, we say no to a lot of kids' birthday parties because we really want to prioritize our family unit time on weekends. And if we said yes. We have 3 kids, we have 1 on the way. If we said yes to every single birthday party, we literally would be doing like 6 or 7 birthday parties every weekend. It would be exhausting, right? And so we have to say no to a lot of things. And our rule is kind of like if our child is coming home and saying, so and so is having a birthday party, I really want to go, then yes, of course, we'll go. If it's just like we invited the entire class, we're probably going to decline those because that's not as important to our kid, and we're prioritizing our family unit time. Same thing for sports. If our kids want to do activities or sports, if they come to us and they want to, then yeah, we'll say yes. But otherwise, we're not pushing it because exactly what you said, like we don't want to be split because one kid is here and then the other kid is here, right? And so whenever possible, we try to have them do activities together. So they do an art class on the weekend, but they do it together. They do taekwondo a couple weekday nights, but they're going together. And so they're still getting to spend time together. And
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's just kind of a give and take. Other families are going to say sports are really important for that family. That's totally fine. But it's really, for us, it's about being intentional about those decisions and not just saying yes because that's what society tells us that we should be doing. And all the other kids are going to be there doing this sport at this party,
Mhm.
very haphazardly saying yes. And for us, it's just like what's important to us. And the other thing I would say is one of the filters that we use for our family and that we teach our clients is decade dream. So we help our clients create a family decade dream. What does your ideal family look like in 10 years? What's that one big goal? For us, our family decade dream is 2,000 free days. So over the course of a decade, we're going to take 2,000 days off together. And we use that big long-term goal to filter what we're saying yes to and what we're saying no to. At the professional level, I will say no to professional obligations, board seats, business ventures, investments if
Mhm.
I feel like it is not going to help us get to 2,000 free days faster. At the family level, if, for example, saying yes to a sport would mean that we're not going to be able to travel as much, then we might say no to it unless our child is really advocating for it and really saying they really want to do it. And so we're really using that as a filter of what's important because we've decided long term, this is what's important to us. The time freedom together is very important. And so we're able to use that to filter all of the noise that loves to try to jump into our lives.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's so amazing. Yeah, having that system to filter. I find myself there sometimes where my kids are asking about something. It's not a yes, it's not a no. I'm trying to navigate it. And it's like, okay, what is my filter here? What is my goal? What is the thing? And yeah, at times it definitely feels like I'm getting pulled all different directions. The stories of me growing up are coming up, the
Mhm.
stories of society, and something my kids say. And yeah, there's just a lot of noise now. Social media, like there's just so much noise out there.
Mhm.
Yeah. I feel like it can be really easy if you're not intentional and focused to let life happen to you. And then the next thing you know, it's like, oh, we're already in June. Like, where did half of the year go? We're almost in July, actually. Right. Like,
Mhm.
and so like being really intentional about that, you don't want that to happen with your family
Yeah.
because it can happen. Like you said, 10 years, I started getting a little teary eyed because our son will be 19. Like, he'll
Mhm.
probably be at college living his life. And our daughter's gonna be 16 and starting to drive, and that's not that far away.
I think I do my job well. Our son might not be in college because he might
Well,
be
that's yeah.
have his own business.
It's
That's very
that's
successful.
so funny because that's what we talk about is that we just started homeschooling. We want to encourage that entrepreneurial mindset or whatever he wants. If he wants to go to college, great. But how, again, that conditioning just flipped right in of like, oh, he'll be 19. He's at the age of going to college. That's so funny. That just still there. So another question I had for you was about I don't know how old your kids are. I think they're a little bit older, maybe around our kids' age.
We have a 7-year-old son, 4-year-old daughter, and a 2-year-old son.
Oh, okay. So yeah, a little younger and then one on the way, you said.
One on the way. Yep, due in August.
Oh, congratulations. Like super close. Oh, yay.
Yeah.
So ours are so 9 and 6. How do you navigate the conversations with them? Or, clients that have kids maybe a little bit older and maybe they've been doing all of the birthday parties and sports
Mhm.
activities and everything. How do you suggest having that conversation with the kids to get them on board with, "Hey, we're making some shifts."
For our family, it has been pretty natural because
Yeah.
we've had the 2,000 free days goal for a while, and they have gotten used to the travel, and it's a little privileged because now they're like, "Well, where are we going next year?"
Yeah.
Like, assuming that we were gonna take a trip, but we will because, this year we're taking 200 free days together. Next year will be either 220 or 240, in 2029 for us to hit our 2,000 goal because our 2,000 day goal ends December 31st, 2029. So in 2029, we're planning on taking 300 free days together. And it's a massive goal, and it's going to require a ton of work over these next few years for us to get our businesses truly self-managing and to figure out the homeschool component. Like, there's going
Yeah.
to be a lot of things at play to make that work, but it's kind of just ingrained in our culture now. Like, this is part of the priority. And I think when you are on the right track with your family decade dream, the kids are as excited about the decade dream as the parents are.
Yeah.
That's kind of when I see the clients really understand that they're, like, on the right track with family decade dream because everyone in the family is excited because the kids are seeing the change and the transformation in their family, right? Not everybody's decade dream is about taking free days. We have
True.
some families who have a decade dream around number of days they're gonna volunteer at the local soup kitchen, or we have one family who has a family decade dream around adventure days, I think is what they call them, right? Number of adventure where they're going on some sort of adventure together, whether it's exploring a local park or it might be a trip, but it could just be doing something new. And so when you're on the right track with your family decade dream, it creates a shift and a little bit of transformation in your family, and the kids can feel it. I
Yeah.
mean, talk to them about it, but really, they're gonna feel that you are showing up differently, you're more
Mhm.
intentional, prioritizing the family unit over everything else. And so they get bought into this idea of family decade dream as much as their parents because it makes the family feel different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they get to feel everyone gets to enter that open-hearted, and they get to feel each other, and there's, like, this connection and bond that has to happen
Mm.
to make that work, and there's so much beauty in that. At the same time, I wanna go back to I have this just, like, nagging idea of, like, "Okay, hold on, let's get to the specifics here. What qualifies a day as one of those?"
3 days?
Yeah, because there's always that gray area, and I'm thinking about for myself, like, "Oh, I really need to talk to this person about business. It'll only be 15 minutes. Does that now count as a free day or is it not?" And, like, how do you navigate, like, the wiggle in that?
Yeah.
Like, I just wanna hear about what a free day is.
So free days is a concept from Strategic Coach, and the founder of Strategic Coach, Dan Sullivan,
Mm,
defines free days as 24 hours of not working, not talking about work, not thinking about work. So for us, we count the free day when both me and my husband are off. So we're not working. Now, we don't have to always be together on the free day. So I might be at a women's retreat and he might be at a men's retreat that same weekend, but as long as we're both off. But I would say more than 80 or 90% of our free days are spent together. But for us, just for sake of like ease in counting,
yeah.
that's our rule of thumb is if we're both not working, then we'll count it as a free day. Because if you remember my story about how we were workaholics before,
Mhm.
the big piece when we were thinking about what is the right decade dream for our family, it really was about time freedom and really about the shift from working 100-hour weeks to having 200, 300 days off. That required us to do things differently. Now, our 2,000 free days goal went through many iterations before it actually got to 2,000 free days. It didn't start as 2,000 free days. It started as um, how much money we wanted to have in the bank. Then it changed to a sabbatical goal. And so it went through many iterations which is really normal. We see couples test a couple of different versions of their decade dream before they land on one. And when we landed on free days, what we realized was free days for us required us to change how we were showing up right now. It wasn't something we could punt till later. Whereas a sabbatical goal, we were able to say, oh, we'll start working towards that in a couple of years. And it didn't really change our current behavior. And so for our free days goal, it required us to change how we were operating that day. We are not intentionally scheduling stuff on free days, but if somebody calls me, I'll take the call, right? So we'll still count it as a free day. For us, it's really about intent. What's the intent for that day? And we try as much as possible to honor like the 24-hour rule, like 24 hours of not working, not talking about work, not thinking about work.
Yeah, that brings up this idea, intent versus impact. You know, the day might change, but the intent was this. And I love Dan Sullivan. I love his work, and I'm glad you mentioned that. And I feel that. I mean, what you're saying is so great and right for me is this idea of punting things. And if you have a goal for the month to make X amount of dollars because you're in sales or something like that, there's always the opportunity to make all that money in the last day. And so that doesn't change your first Monday, your first Tuesday necessarily.
Right.
And so I feel that very strongly of how people fall flat on their goals and their dreams and stuff. And it's what is the thing that's going to build and continue to help us through that? And if it's communication or if it's dates or date nights or whatever it is, like having something where it's, we want to do it today because then we can do it tomorrow, that type of thing. So I'm so glad you pointed that out. Just made me reflect some.
Yeah. I really like that. And the thing that's coming up for me is by implementing this, it's like calls you up to show up more fully every single day because it is top of mind of changing those habits. I think that's really good. I like it.
The other thing I'll say about punting is we look at punting in our work with our couples from a different perspective as well. We talk about what are the big things that you're punting, the memories, the moments, the relationships that you're punting, because work screams really loudly, right? Like if you've got a fire at work and you're like, you know what, I will punt this trip, this dinner, this conversation with this person, punt my dreams, punt my goals, my passions to a later day, because we are living under this like false illusion that there's this future where we're going to have all this time and all this money and we're going to be able to do all these fun things. And it's like that future, one, is not guaranteed, but two, so what we're working with couples on is identifying the areas where they're unintentionally punting, right? Because you think that you will have all this time after you create a self-managing business. You can go spend more time with your dad. Where are those areas where you're unintentionally punting so that you can be more intentional about the big things in life that really matter, the relationships, the memories, the moments?
Yeah, and it brings up the idea of like time and the Newtonian time versus Einstein time. And the faster you're moving, the more time you have. And so the more intentional your day is, the more time it feels like you have, and the more things you can get done, and the more joy you can feel, the more connection. Like, yeah, I'm loving this.
We talk about time in our program because we say there's two dangerous mindsets that people have around time. One is the punting, right? I'll do it after I get this promotion. I'll do it after I exit this business. I'll do it after my kids move out. The punting. So we talk about that. And then the other dangerous mindset that people have around time, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but it's this blur, this moving so fast, not being present, trying to tread water to survive your days, to survive your weeks, till you can make it till the next vacation. Mindset around time is just like living life in a blur. And what we often hear in those, that's an indicator that you're living life in a blur, is when you say things like, I can't believe it's already June and almost July. I can't believe my kid's already whatever age. I can't believe that XYZ. And it's an indicator that we are just trying to survive, and it's like you're almost living on autopilot. And so we talk about that as well. Like, where are you on autopilot? How do we get off autopilot and really be intentional about our time? Because really, time, energy, those are our most precious commodities. And so how do we really be intentional about those two things?
Definitely. So what I heard in that is I should just order this new e-bike because I shouldn't put it off anymore, right? That's that what I heard? No?
Mhm.
No, I don't think that's it.
I was at a retreat this past weekend in Phoenix, and it was my first time on an e-bike. I had been on one before, but I don't really feel like it counted. And I
Yeah.
did 18 miles on an e-bike,
Mhm.
6 months pregnant, and it was easy because I was like, I didn't have to exert any effort.
That's
Yeah,
great.
it's so nice. Yeah, I've been on an e-bike once, and he's definitely the biker. I go just to be with the family every so often,
In
but
nature, yeah, there's
I
some
I I prefer to walk, but yeah. And I'm just like you're saying that you went on a bike. I'm like, "She's pregnant." Like, I'm so impressed that you were, like, out
But
there
it was an
riding
e-bike.
around.
I
Yeah.
could not have done the 18 miles on a regular bike, but an e-bike, it was like I was just going along for the ride. I didn't have to do anything.
Yeah. That's so great.
yeah.
I've loved this conversation. I'm so excited we were able to connect and hear from you, hear what you're doing because it is so important, especially in today's culture. There's so many things pulling at our attention, dividing us, and I love what you and your husband have come up with to create stability and connection in the family unit again. I think that's so important.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Just to touch on that, like before, keeping up with the Joneses was really just like, what's your neighbor doing? With social media, the pressure is so intense. And
Mhm.
so this work is really important and so impactful.
Yeah, I'm so excited for everybody to hear this episode and to connect with you, learn more about your program and your workshops that you have. Can you please tell everybody where they can connect with you?
Sure. Empowered Journey, MPOWERED journey.com. And we're on all the social media channels, and I am as well. Looking forward to connecting. I'm obsessed about all of this. I mean, this is our passion project. This is our purpose works. Would love to connect with anybody that wants to continue the conversation.
Yeah. Awesome.
I think the passion, the following the passion, that type of intentionality definitely changed our lives.
Mhm.
And yeah, I was just wondering if there was like any other little things you want to share with our audience on tips, tricks, like what else?
Oh gosh, there's so
I'm
much.
I'm just gonna keep asking what else
Yeah.
until you're like, I don't have anything else.
Oh, we could talk for days. I would say the values work that we do is incredibly impactful. And for us, values work is really about identifying your no matter what values. That's what we call them, is your no matter what. And that values work is about finding your no matter what's that are 0% aspirational. And I think if your listeners can really take some time, some quiet time to really reflect on what their true no matter what's are, because I think that's where most people get values work wrong. Or you're doing, and I would encourage everybody listening to do their individual values work and then come together with their spouse to do their family values work. But you can't do the family values work unless you've both done the individual values work first. But that individual values work, we have seen that be incredibly transformational for individuals, whether you want to show up as a better leader for your family or for your work or for your community. That values work is so important because when you can get clear about what is really driving your behaviors, your decisions, you can move faster, you can have more confidence in what you're doing. And really, when we were talking earlier about filtering, I see people using the values work, and I do this as well, but using that values work to filter relationships, projects, investments, business ventures that don't align with their values. And that is what I believe makes a happy life, right? Where you're
Yeah.
living a values aligned life that really feels like it fits you. And so if I were to leave one piece of advice, it would be to start with that values work and really get to 0% aspirational, because that's where people get the values work wrong. They create a list of values of who they think they should be, who they think society tells them they should be, who their parents have told them they should be. And then they create this list of who they want to be and they put it up on their wall. And then they look at it every day and then they just feel crappy about themselves. Really, values work should be who you are, not who you're trying to be.
Yeah. And it's, for me, when I hear all that and when I relate it to my clients and whatnot, it's getting out of our head and into our heart. It's really heart work. We had a whole conversation on my men's group last night about getting away from performance-based values, or another way, performance-based regulation skills, and get to like skills that are going to help you regulate on a regular basis, that aren't about you running a mile and so fast, or going to jujitsu because what happens when you're injured, that type of thing. And so the aspirational or the performance based is, it's just another way, I believe, that we trick ourselves into trying to be something that we maybe aren't.
And I will say there's an important place for the aspirational.
Yep.
But at Empowered, we say that is setting goals. That's not your values, right? Your values should be who you are, not who you're trying to be. If you're trying to be healthier, set it as a goal. Don't say health is one of your values.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, when I think value, it's something that finds so easily. And it's almost that when I'm not thinking, when I'm not overthinking, it's right there. It's
Yes.
right there for me.
It is hardwired into your DNA. It shows up no matter what, no matter how much time you have, no matter how much money you have, no matter what season of life you're in. It is just part of who you are. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to prioritize it. And if you can get to those values for you, then you can start using those values to make better decisions, filter, and really be more intentional about it.
All right, Ann, here's the question. What are your values?
All right. So I have 5.
Okay.
Authenticity, which I define as doing your me work. So the values work, getting clear about what your vision is, who you are at your best, at your worst. Better every day. So I have a complete obsession with learning, growth, development. Like I spend a ton of time and money hiring coaches, going to classes, buying books, all the things. Creator mindset. So this is really about like unconditional ownership of the situation and understanding that I am able to control how I respond instead of reacting. Security is one of my values because I am so what I'll say about all of your no matter what values, they're all things you're a little weird about, right? It's all hardwired in you. And so security shows up as my obsession with my kids eating protein and their sleep schedule, and my obsession with like paranoia and like all the things, right? Like for me, I define security differently than how most people would define it. But for me, it's about like health and wellness for my family. And then my last one is impact. So really thinking about, the work that we do, how do we create programs that really have the most impact? And so those are my 5 values, and they are showing up no matter what. And I am weird about all of them, like really weird about them. Like if you think about my better everyday value, people that know me, like my inner circle, they love me unconditionally, right? People that are meeting me for the first time that are not necessarily part of my inner circle think I'm a little weird. They think I geek out too much about learning and development and personal growth. It is quirky and weird for some people. They don't get it. They don't understand. It's weird. And I would say that's true for all of my no matter what's. And for our clients, when we walk them through the process to get to their no matter what's, that's the litmus test. Are you a little weird, extreme, irrational for all your no matter what's? If so, then you're probably on the right track.
Perfect.
I love that you said that, because as soon as you said it, see, it's the things that you're kind of weird about. I'm like, oh, okay. That gave me such a guiding point to like figure out like what those values are. And there's a lot of similarities in yours that, yeah, I'm really excited to kind of delve into this and look at that for us. And
I love that you said that as well. For me, it gave me like permission to own the weirdness.
yes,
Right. Like I'll be running like my men's retreat or something. And I'm like, I hope you guys are ready to get weird, because we're going to get weird together.
yeah,
And it's like, that growth, that enjoyment, that connection, all that stuff I get weird about and
Yeah.
fun.
Or weird, right? Like own it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's, again, social media and everything. Like, we have to have this certain face that we present
Mhm.
to everybody because they can't see who we really are. They might not accept us, but that is us. We're individuals.
Yep.
We don't
Yep.
want to blend in. I
Yep.
don't. I've never wanted to, but then there's a little bit like a fear of rejection, right? Like, oh no.
That is so true. So my better everyday value, there was some embarrassment and shame before I truly understood the power of my no matter what value. I used to hide it from my friends and family because I didn't want them to understand or know how dorky, geeky I was, how much money I was spending on coaches.
Oh yeah.
Like I made that part of myself small because it was a little weird. It was embarrassing. But what we actually know now is your no matter what values are your superpowers. Combination of these no matter what values, it's what makes you unique. It's what makes you special. These are the gifts that you bring to your teams, to your communities. And when you can really lean into those no matter what values, man, you unlock something really special for everybody that you're interacting with.
Yes, that's so good.
Wow.
Usually whatever we're avoiding is probably a superpower in disguise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That was like such a perfect way to round this out. I am so excited for everybody to hear this and go figure out what their quirky superpowers are.
Do the work.
Yeah, this was so great. And I am so excited that I get to listen back to this when I'm editing and let it soak in again. And we'll be implementing everything that you shared and kind of digging in more. I'll put all of your links in our show notes as
Mm-hmm.
well. So thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.